17. They wouldn't for Johnny Gosch. And they put the police chief on the spot, and this went on national television. Later, they continued to investigate the Martin case, and he was not found either. However, I thought the police would come to me like men and want to discuss the tape I had and want to know who it was that gave me the information. They did not. Instead, they told me that if I ever breathed a word of it to the Martin family, they would put a gag order on me, and they would press charges against me, some kind of charges, to make me wish I had never spoken to the Martin family. Well, it was apparent to me that they did not want the word out that the second kidnapping had been known ahead of time and that it could have been prevented. So what was Sam Soda in this whole concoction, this whole equation? Sam Soda, according to Paul Bonacci, they called him Soda Pop. Sam Soda, according to Paul Bonacci, brought photographs of my son to a motel room the night before the kidnapping and said, "This is the kid that we're taking in the morning." Sam Soda, according to Paul Bonacci, was present at the farm outside of Sioux City, and he watched as Paul Bonacci had sex with my son, and the pictures were snapped and taken of it. That he had been involved in the whole thing from the beginning, according to Paul Bonacci's testimony, which he gave in court, and which was ruled on in a federal court ruling as being truth.
Did they ever find the Martin kid?
The Martin boy's never been found.
Did Johnny or anybody else tell you or Paul that the Martin kid was part of the same operation, the same ring?
In many of the discussions that I've had with Paul Bonacci, as well as some other victims, some who do not want their names mentioned, they have all said that Paul Bonacci told the truth, that he, in fact, did know that Eugene Martin was part of the same kidnapping plot, same people, same purpose in mind, as well as other boys throughout the country. One such victim also told me that Jacob Wetterling, a little boy from Minnesota, was also a victim of this same group.
Has Wetterling ever been found?
No, all the boys are still missing. I have been told, however, that Eugene Martin and Jacob Wetterling are both still alive.
Did you tell the police about Soda at all, or did you tell the FBI about Soda, knowing in advance of this kidnapping?
Yes, I told the police and I told the FBI about Sam Soda, and all they said to me was, he denies ever saying such a thing. And I argued with them, and the police were not willing to do anything about it. It took many years later before I found out why. There used to be a place in Des Moines called Barry's Lounge, and upstairs in Barry's Lounge they showed films, all kinds of adult variety films, some that were kiddie porn. And a waitress that had worked there called me on the phone after Barry's Lounge burned and told me that Sam Soda was the one that used to bring in a big brown sack wrapped with lots and lots of duct tape, and he would disappear upstairs on the nights that they were showing the films of kiddie porn, and that he in fact was the supplier and delivered the goods on the nights that they had those films.
What goods?
The kiddie porn films.
Oh, the films.
Mm-hmm. And that is how Sam Soda factored into it, and that many of the people that came to see the films were some of Des Moines' finest.
Do you have the names of these Des Moines finest people?
The waitress did not give me the names. She just said that they were Des Moines cops and some Des Moines detectives that attended. So therefore, when I would squawk about Sam Soda's involvement, there is no way that the police would ever approach him, ever do anything to him, because he was part of it. They were part of it.
Did Paul, no, excuse me, go back. Did Johnny mention to you that these kids were also used in satanic ceremonies?
Yes.
Start again. Forget I asked you that question. Just start.
My son also mentioned when he was here that the kids were forced to participate in satanic, and the rituals were more to create and cause the kids to...
Turn it on. Better turn it off.
Okay. When my son visited, he also told me that the kids were involved in satanic ceremonies and rituals in which they did the killing of babies and sacrificing in some very bizarre types of acts. The rituals had a dual purpose. They were also used as a way to traumatize and control the victims as much as the exhilaration, so to speak, of the people that were involved in doing them. They would get a certain hype or momentum going with all of the participants, and they would enter into kind of a different mindset or frenzy in doing these rituals. And he felt that it was a dual purpose of control as well.
Did Johnny say anything about where these babies came from that were being sacrificed?
The only term that I can recall that Johnny talked about, as well as some of the other victims that I spoke with, they used the term breeder mothers as one. And situations where the babies would not be born in a normal situation where there would be a birth certificate in a hospital. The births were done in a home place, or the fetus would be aborted in a type of miscarriage situation before it would have reached full term.
Did Johnny ever talk to you or tell you anything about the other kidnappings where they used these kids that they kidnapped for the satanic ceremony?
Where they used the kid? Did they use them to lure other kids?
No, and as victims.
No, he didn't talk about
Didn't
that.
say that. Okay.
No.
So the main thing is they kidnap these kids in order to put them into the inner circle, use them for sex objects, and then make sure they were blackmailed and never get out.
As a way to blackmail politicians or get them under their thumb.
Summarize that.
Okay.
What Johnny said.
Okay. From what I was able to learn from my own son and from other victims that I've talked to over the years, is that the kids that were kidnapped and put into the pornography and prostitution end of this horrific crime, they were used to intimidate and to infiltrate a level of our government and officials where they could be controlled and blackmailed for their deeds and acts with children. Therefore, whoever was in control of the children also then had control of that politician. Okay?
Good. That's important. Could you think of anything else? Did we miss anything?
Rusty, did we miss anything?
Rusty wasn't listening.
You weren't listening?
I am and I'm not. I guess there's sort of...
You know, I'm thinking,
it's like a wall
don't pay
goes up.
attention to him. He's the cameraman.
Well, I know he's a cameraman, but he was in court with us and all of that, and I'm just wondering if there's
whenever
any...
I get into this stuff, it's just like a wall goes up.
He closes down.
Oh, I just wondered if he thought there was any other details.
It's
George,
all part
can you
of
think
the
of any other
epilepsy
details?
bit.
Well, did we miss anything?
He told them all about your life. No.
Miss anything in your opinion today?
No.
We covered it all?
I think we've covered it all. We got Sam Soda, the judge's ruling, Johnny's kidnapping, Johnny's visit.
The book,
The book.
the foundation.
John.
And my website is www.johnnygosh.com.
Yep, there. Now I can see it.
On this website, you'll find information about Johnny's story, the kidnapping of other children, and you'll find a 52-page report based on the investigation by Ted Gunderson on my son's case and the related Franklin Credit Union cover-up.
What's the name of the website again?
The name of my website is www.johnnygosh.com. And the title of my book is Why Johnny Can't Come Home. This will give you the full story of why children are being kidnapped in America.
We can put some headings on that.
Yeah, well...
And then you know, those little square things I have in there.
Yeah.
I'll give you some of those to use because they're real clear. They're easy to shoot.
Yeah.
And then those other pictures that you want, I'll get those gathered up.
And we need to get a good still of Johnny right there.
And the Reader's Digest. No.
Yeah, and the Reader's Digest.
TV Guide, Reader's Digest.
It might take me a day or two to dig that out because when I got
Inquirer.
finished...
No.
Yeah.
No, listen, don't send the originals. Make copies.
I'll make copies.
Make good copies.
Make good copies.
I've got a real good copy machine. I'll make color copies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, if nothing else, bring them to Kinko's and get really good copies.
Okay. All right. I'll make a copy of the cover, and then I'll open it up to the page where it shows Conspiracy of Silence, and I'll get a good shot of that.
Now, let me ask you another question. Do you have any information as to why Conspiracy of Silence was never aired?
The only information I was told, and that
Sorry, start again.
Oh, it was for the camera. I thought it was the conversation.
No, for the camera.
In May of 1994, a film called Conspiracy of Silence was supposed to be aired. It had appeared in the TV Guide, and it was supposed to air this on a certain evening. It was related to me by John DeCamp that the network, the Discovery Channel, received a phone call and they were told to pull it off the air. Yorkshire TV, who filmed this broadcast, also were told that the film was not going to be able to be aired and they were ordered to destroy all copies. I was also told that Discovery Channel was at that point purchased by the Bush family. I don't know that to be true, but that is the report that I was given by John DeCamp.
We'll get John DeCamp on that one.
Because he's the one that told me that the Bush family bought it. And then that night, I mean, just hours before it was supposed to go on, it was jerked off the air, and then they were told to destroy the
I
copy.
mentioned that they were paid for the film, $400,000 for their efforts in film.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they were paid for it.
Yorkshire was paid for the rights to their work involved in the film. It was never aired.
Oh, okay. Yorkshire TV, as far as I know, were paid $400,000 for their work and contribution in filming, for all the expenses in filming this Conspiracy of Silence. Who paid it, I don't know.
Maybe John has some information on it. We're going to interview John.
Yeah, I do not know who paid them.
Anything else we haven't covered you can think of?
You talk about the second kidnapping here involving
The Martin kid? Yeah.
Yeah.
Have there been any other
Talk about the death threats I got.
Any other kidnappings since then?
Not in Des Moines or Iowa.
Oh, I know a question I wanted to ask. In fact, I got it in my notes. Are we on camera now? What's the reaction of the Des Moines Register? In other words, did the Des Moines Register say anything or help you out in regard to the fact that the FBI and the police refused to investigate this? Did it come to your rescue? Did it give you adequate publicity? Did they support you?
In the very beginning, when Johnny was kidnapped, there was a lot of publicity about Johnny's case, and they reported it fairly accurately. Then about a week or so...
The Des Moines Register reported it. Start again.
Okay.
Instead of saying they reported it, because I'm not going to be on there.
Right. The Des Moines Register, in the beginning, gave us adequate coverage after Johnny was kidnapped. Pictures of Johnny and a fairly good story about it. Within a few days, however, the story began to change and it began to be slanted against the family. I received a phone call from a woman who worked in the newsroom. She would not identify herself, but she said, "You need to know this." The editor came into the newsroom and instructed every one of the writers who would handle the Johnny Gosch story to slant all stories against the family. And those were the orders that we were given. She said, "I'm a mother, and I can't imagine what you're going through. I'll lose my job if I give you my name, but you need to know what you're up against in this town." The Des Moines Register did start some kind of a reward fund